All right. So, welcome back. What episode is this? I keep forgetting. I keep losing track of what number we're on.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 12. Today, we
Number
have an
12.
we have an interesting episode for our 12th episode in the First Time Picture series.
I feel like ever since you told me uh that 20 episodes or that most podcasts don't make it past 20 episodes, that's like
Yep.
a huge milestone in my mind. I don't know if we should let the audience know. I kind of want to let them know like we're going to be popping some champagne and lighting a cigar on the 20th episode.
It was just like a statistic that only like 1% of podcasters even make it to 20 episodes. And so, by us just getting to 20, we'll be in the top 1%
Yeah.
of something in the world.
So once we hit 20, we're done.
Yeah, we're quitting actually.
Yeah. Sorry. We just want to hit that 1%. Say we hit the
Spoilers.
1%. Yeah. Then we're good.
And then we'll be 1% for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. And then we'll look at this catalog and be like, these are the top 20 movies we absolutely had to talk about. Ace Ventura, Shark Tales. Yeah, Madam Web. These are the must talk about, must see movies.
We're gonna look back and be like, why didn't they talk about this film or that film?
I
And
know.
it's gonna be because like they weren't worth it.
Yeah, when it really came to it, we had to talk about Madam Web.
Madam Web is like a social phenomenon, bro. It's like
Yeah,
hmm
culturally significant.
what it's done for film in today's modern era. It's tremendous work, bro.
Yeah, tremendous, unparalleled influence on the future of film
Set
and
the
cinema.
set the standard, actually.
Yeah, the status quo.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday I've been begging you. I've been absolutely begging you to watch just the intro to Superman and Lois because,
Making
in
me
my opinion,
promise, making me
I know I made
pinky
you promise.
promise on my child's future life. Like he said, you promised to watch it. I said, yes, bro.
Yeah. So before you get into your review or
Okay.
your little comments, I just want to let the audience know my wife and I did watch a lot of that show. She is a diehard Superman and Lois fan. She's actually rewatching it and already on season 2
Damn.
because she liked it that much. But I for real life portrayal, I have never spent that much time with a Clark or a Superman, and so that I do respect that portrayal a lot because you just never get to see any of the things that they do in there. Usually, it's always Zod came to Earth and you got to fight Zod, or you just do it's his origin story, or they play around too much with Superman and Lois, and you never know if they're gonna end up together, and it's like a flirting situation. But in this show, they start out as you can see. So I guess let's get into what you thought because I'm guessing you've never seen that done in live action either.
No, I was really surprised because they had kids, they had a family, like a kid.
Uh huh.
I guess one of their kids maybe has superpowers. They kind of show a scene where he like throws a baseball through a rope.
Yeah.
So a super kid.
I'll tell you right now, he doesn't have powers.
Oh, he doesn't? He's just
No.
strong.
I thought that was weird too because everyone who sees that goes, "Oh," and the kids have powers, and I'm like,
Right?
they actually don't. But for some reason, one of the kids is like super, not a super. He's just a good football quarterback, and that scene was to show he has good aim.
Oh.
But I'm like, even a grown man, if you throw a football at a rope, it's not going to snap it off. Like that's crazy.
Dude, he snapped it. I was like, oh, is this show gonna? Because yeah, I guess getting right into the show, they have two kids. One's like this golden child boy, and one's like this
Yeah,
dark
the other
boy.
one's the mentally unstable child menace.
So I was like, oh, he's gonna be a bad guy. His brother's gonna be a good guy, and then Superman's gonna be in the middle. And so yeah, I thought he had powers. So now you said that, I was like, okay, yeah, that scene was kind of misleading because I was like, oh, his kids have
Very
superpowers. He just snaps a
very
rope.
misleading.
But yeah, getting into like the Superman part of it though, my first comment to you was like, this is such a CW show.
That made
And
me so mad. That triggered me. That straight up triggered me.
bro, that's also not fair, bro, because you and your wife love this show. So of course you're gonna have this like, motherly protection over the
But
show.
okay,
But
okay, but When you say CW, bro,
Yeah.
there's only a very few CW shows. There's
Yeah.
like The Flash, Arrow. I'm like, come on. You're
There's
telling me this like reminds you of The
there's
Flash?
Superwoman. There's that other
Yep.
Marvel team up show. I forgot what it's called.
And
Not Marvel.
any of them you could think of.
But
This you think this
when I
reminds
was
you of those shows?
not in like in the terms of how it just looks like
Like the quality.
if like even though the cinematography did look great, like the shots were really nice, like the intro scenes
Yeah.
were all really nice, for some reason it just felt like how they recorded it, it just felt cheap. I don't know why. And maybe because when they show that
Well,
Superman scene when he's
are you
like,
comparing it to a movie or are you comparing it to other TV shows?
I'm comparing it to other TV shows. Then that's
Okay,
and that's
because
why I
I
said
my
CW
I
show.
feel like that's high. This is high level stuff. Like I think this was the highest budget CW show or something where they dropped like $1 million per episode.
But because it's Superman, bro, like everyone's gonna watch Superman stuff. So like, if they put the
Yeah.
budget in, probably people are gonna watch. But like that intro scene just threw me off a little bit when he's like Superman and he has like his first iteration suit. You
Oh
know, he's like,
yeah,
my mom
yeah,
made me this, and then like you could just tell that whole scene was a green screen in the back, and I was like,
a
okay,
little
that
bit.
that felt a little CWE, where like maybe the CGI isn't as good. The iceberg scene, I was like, okay, that looks CGI. Like I could just see the CGI, but like getting past CGI because CGI won't ever.
Okay, well, tell me the tier level for the CGI compared to the Flash and the Arrow because if you think this is anywhere near the Flash or Arrow, I feel like you need to revisit the Flash because the Flash had some horrendous CGI.
Yeah,
This
okay,
is like actually blended together.
but if you see, and this is where do you have to rate it differently? Like just because it's a show, you're like, well,
One
in
hundred percent.
in
One hundred
show,
percent.
it's good CGI because other shows do it bad. But it's like I'm still watching a show. It still feels cheap. I don't know how to explain it. Like even if the story was bad, would you be like, oh, it's a show, like you can't do too much? Like how is there certain elements of a show that you're able to say, no, you have to give that forgiveness because it is a show. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to be
You
like
I
this
think
and
you
this.
100% gotta consider like what they're working with because for one, if you saw a YouTube video and it was like a fan made video that did something high quality, you subconsciously already take that into consideration. Like, oh my God, they're like me. They were able to do so much with so little. You know,
Yeah.
that I think that does deserve some merit. And so for the CW, if you take the CW standards, you know, I've seen scenes in the Flash where the Flash just straight up is CGI, like 100%. There's
Yeah.
no question. It looks like a PS2 video game.
Yeah. They have
But
that a
in
lot.
this, exactly, I feel like in this, that quality can maybe dip in maybe one scene or two, but for the most part, I think this is a level above what the CW does put out. And I think they do deserve some recognition for that because most of they could have given this show the Supergirl treatment or the Flash treatment and had it been subpar because they're thinking, oh, you know, everybody watches Superman, they'll watch it anyways. But they kind of they rightfully so. I think they threw a lot of money into the budget for this one. But I want to ask you, did you like the music? Because when I first saw that scene, I immediately thought this is so kind of wholesome, you know,
Yeah.
because I've heard multiple writers say that the Superman story and lore at its core is a romance between him and Lois. And I felt that this show really got that across because it seems extremely romantic and other not otherworldly, but just like a very romantic fantasy that I was watching. And I thought I liked how they leaned into it. And I felt like other shows or other interpretations besides My Adventures with Superman kind of shy away from it. Like they're afraid to be corny. But this show was like, no, let's show them, you know, him carrying her after their wedding day, driving off in the Just Married, proposing at the sunset. I really liked how much they leaned into it and weren't afraid to just go all out in that aspect.
I like the way they can just show Superman being like human, and that's what I really
Yeah.
like him just being like a normal dude because he was raised like on a farm and in Kansas. He loves his little small town. So when they show those scenes, you're just like, hey, he just like me for real. Like he's just a dude. He loves his wife. He's like a caring guy. Like, and it also helps you kind of connect with him better because you're like, this is freaking Superman, bro. Like
Yeah.
the the manliest macho guy out there, showing he has like his
Yeah.
soft side and all this stuff, things that kind of do make up a man that maybe a man would be like, oh, I'm not gonna be corny. I wouldn't like, and it's like, bro, like that's your wife, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you love her, so he's just like a loving husband, and if people are mad at
Yeah.
that, then you got to reassess yourself, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's
I feel like there's some people who are too there I guess they're too much of Batman fans. Like they need some bad like they need it to be badass, but
yeah.
I feel like they complement each other. Like the reason Batman's badass is because there's some Boy Scout superheroes who are very, they wear their heart on their chest like Superman, and they're very idealistic, and they try to be the good guy. And then because they exist, it's the yin and yang. You have the Batman where it's special because there are the contrasts and everything. But I also 100% agree with you on how you see him as like a human, because I felt in most shows they make him too overpowered to where you don't really believe that he's in danger too much, and also you don't get to see him, like you said, be a dad or have a role in like a family. Where when I watch this actor, I believe that I could run into this guy and he would just be a really nice guy and he could exist in the real world. Versus, I don't know, if I saw Henry Cavill's Superman, I would just see him brooding and staring off into the distance, wondering what it means to be a god and everything. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, but like that's not realistic. That doesn't feel like a real person. But I love interpretations like this one or My Adventures with Superman, where they're believable like humans.
Yeah, and like going back to Batman, yeah, people like I think the main difference between Batman and Superman is how they were raised, right? Like
Uh
Bruce,
huh.
rich kid, parent mom dies, and then he becomes this depressed vengeance boy, and he
Yeah.
has all this anger, and people are like, yeah, that's me. I've been hurt. I've been all this, and they're like, I relate to Batman. And then versus freaking Superman, he's this loving boy raised in Kansas, loving mom and dad. Like he cares about everybody. He's just this bright
Yeah.
guy, and everyone's like, no one's really that happy. No one's so bright, and
Yeah.
they can't grasp the idea that someone so positive is out there. They're like, that's so unrealistic. But it's
Right.
like, bro, like, come on, dude. Like that's real. Like people are like that, and you know and Superman, yeah, he goes through his own things, but he always has that at the core of himself, like caring for people, which
Yeah.
I think watching My Adventures with Superman really helped when I watched this show, Superman and Lois, because you kind of already see that, like he's just checking in on his boys, like he's like smiling, like what's up, my son, like
Yeah.
just like a cheerful guy trying to be in his kid's life, and like that's very wholesome and
Uh-huh.
feel goody. And even like how you're saying, like maybe a reason why you and Val really like this show is because like it's like a loving family vibe, just
Hmm.
Superman, he and his wife. I only watched I think like 20 minutes of that first episode, but
Oh, see, I didn't even ask you to watch 20 minutes. I asked you just up until the logo, because when he brings out the iceberg with the music, I thought that was a perfect way to end it. But I
yeah,
didn't expect you to watch 20 minutes.
yeah, I was gonna watch the whole thing and then I got pulled away, and so I got
Yeah.
through some of it. Um,
That
but
episode is, since it's the pilot, it's not a 45-minute episode. It's like an hour, 20 minutes or something. So,
okay.
yeah. So I think either way, you're going to eventually get pulled away from it for something.
Yeah, so I mean, it was cool. The definitely that Superman does look a little different. I
Yeah.
because I know how you said he's like a little darker, thicker eyebrows, I think darker hair. So,
Uh-huh.
but I don't really picture Superman as like this, white guy, blue eyes, like because Henry Cavill was kind of different. So
He
already
did
in
have blue eyes and dark hair.
right, and already I already had that different perspective because Henry Cavill's Superman is the only Superman movie I've seen.
People consider him to be up there with like the most comic accurate looking heroes. Like they consider him born to play the role as well.
He's buff. He got that jawline, curly
Yeah.
hair. Like, I mean, he to me, he is my Superman. Because that's who I've
Uh-huh.
seen. So to me, I'm like, yeah, that's who Superman looks like. So when I'll see like some of the older Supermans, I'm like, who's this nerdy guy? Like, in these bright blue spandex, like he looks
Yeah.
so different. But I'm starting to understand kind of a little bit more Superman. So Superman Lois,
The
it was
different
cool. I
interpretations.
would. I don't know if I'd check it out again. Maybe I'll throw it on. But I like, I
I'm
just
hoping
like
you get so
seeing,
bored to watch more.
I just like seeing normal Superman stuff because in the back of your mind, you're like, this is the most powerful guy in the whole world, and he's just a chill dude. So I think that's what I really like about Superman because that's just like a life lesson to all men. Like you don't have to be this brute whatever. Like you can
Right.
have that in the back of your inventory as being a tough guy, but when it comes down to the people that matters most, like you can be this like loving happy dad and people are like, no, you can't be that, and it's like, bro,
Right.
what? Like what are you
Imagine if
talking
he
about?
bought into that, like, I need to be alpha, bro. I need to show up the
Yeah,
alpha. Imagine if Superman bought into that shit. Like
yeah, no,
how bad that would be. That's
just
how you get
whooping his
Homelander.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how you get
exactly.
Homelander.
That's exactly how you get Homelander. Trying to be alpha, gain approval from others. So like the main
Yeah.
difference between Superman and Homelander would probably be that like Superman in it for his family. He has people that care about him. Homelander, no one cares about him really. He's trying to
Yeah,
force.
exactly. That
He's
shows
trying to.
how the way you're raised directly
Yeah.
affects
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Homelander
what
was
you end up
raised
becoming.
in a lab and all that. So some different parallels, but
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I hope you do end up checking out more of that show because they do some things that are in the comics, but they don't really do that often. Even in TV shows, they don't necessarily do them that often, and they bring out some villains that are very exciting, done very well. They have great fight scenes, even better music, and then they wrap it up very nicely in season 4. But
does does
oh,
Super
go
wait,
ahead.
real quick, does Superman have kids before, or is that a new thing as well?
Yeah, so they do a lot of comics where he does have a son, but he usually just has one son, and I think his name is Jonathan Kent,
Oh,
and
okay.
he becomes Superboy and all that. But that was one thing that Andrew, my older brother Andrew, who's a huge diehard Superman fan, he's read way more comics than I have, and I go to him asking like, "Was this in the comics? Is this accurate?" And he didn't like that they split up the son into two children. He thought that that was dumb and that it should have remained one character. So he was a comic fan from his perspective. He was not on board with having twins and splitting it up into two different sons.
Because I feel like I've heard Superboy before, but I didn't know
Uh,
if Superboy was actually Superman's son or just like another kid that maybe had Superman powers.
so there are different interpretations, and one interpretation that's also very common is Superboy is usually a clone of Clark Kent. Like they got some of his DNA, and they were able to make a partial clone, so he can't fly, but he can jump really high. He has super strength, and he might have heat vision, but he doesn't get all the super powers that Superman has. So he usually feels a little bit inadequate because he can't live up or be as strong or be as perfect as Superman comes across. And he feels like he's not really his dad because he's a clone, so he doesn't have
True.
parents. It's a different dynamic for him. There's this cartoon I think you would really like called Young Justice. It has to do with Superboy, Robin, and the Justice League as well. And that show, I mean, if I were to compare it to Invincible from what I've seen, it's nowhere near as violent, but the writing and the quality for superhero stuff is just as good. I'd highly recommend that if you'd ever want to see another cartoon TV show. It's animated, but it's more modern. I'd say the quality is better than Teen Titans because it's not adventure by adventure episode. There's an overall plot for the whole show that continues from episode to episode. Incredible voice acting, great animation, It's a great show.
Yeah, I feel like I forget that I know like quite a bit of DC stuff because I think I
Oh,
would consider myself the Marvel fan, and then when I hear about superheroes, I'm like, oh yeah, I know about Robin, and then all these other side characters, and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I forget that there's a whole nother side of superheroes because I feel like I'm more invested in the Marvel side. So then when I realize there's like a whole nother world of superheroes, I'm like, oh yeah, like I can check out DC stuff, like this whole
Yeah.
other world.
Marvel is at the forefront right now, so I think
Yeah.
they've been starting to forget, like, oh shit, there is a Justice League,
Right.
there is a Flash, all that stuff, Robin.
Yeah, they need to bring another Flash movie
They're
because
coming. They're coming, bro.
this other one, right? Yeah, they're revamping the whole thing. So I hope
Yeah,
they
this
do a new one.
that's why even the director for this new Superman movie, he said that filming it was complete. His name is what's his name? Fuck, I forgot his name. The guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy.
James Gunn.
James Gunn, thank you.
Yeah, look at me, boy. I be knowing my director, son.
I
Switch
know.
seats.
I gotta come to you for some info now. Who's this guy that played? But
Let's
he said it
go.
was completely hell for him filming Superman because this is the first movie for the DC universe, the new one. So if this doesn't do good, most likely the whole thing's fucked, and
And
it's not gonna
that's
go well.
tough, right? Like
All that
you're
pressure.
it's like the whole cinematic universe is on your shoulders on this
Yeah.
one movie because if it gets bad scores, they're gonna be like, all right, you're done. We're maybe scrapping it. So that
Yep.
I understand why he has a lot of pressure because I never even realized that certain directors, and we can even talk about this movie in particular, Jumper, where if the first movie just gets dogged on, that they're just going to completely scrap, maybe the next or
Yeah,
second one.
yeah.
And
It's
it's
like
kind
the
of like,
Zack
damn.
Snyder. Even though Zack Snyder's Justice League was well received, like his version, it's just it already got too much controversy. So that universe, a couple movies in, scrapped, and who knows what'll happen. But I'm going into the new Superman movie extremely positive. I'm just grateful that we're getting one in general, and we're gonna have Green Lantern, Mister Terrific, Lex Luthor, a whole bunch of comic villains, Hawk Girl, a whole bunch of comic stuff being brought to this new Superman movie that I'm going in with my meter in the green. If I'm being honest, I can't help it.
No.
My meter's in the green already.
Nice.
Yeah,
Speaking of movies that got scrapped after the first one, bro, I think we have a movie to talk about here.
let's do it. So we're gonna be talking about the 2008 film Jumper. Every time I hear 2008, my point of reference is, oh, The Dark Knight came out during this time. That's kind
Mm,
of like my point of reference for quality because that's the time movie, or at the same time The Dark Knight came out, all these other movies came out. Like the year before, Ghost Rider came out, and then the year after Ghost Rider, Jumper came out. And it's so weird seeing the difference in quality from different studios. How one is producing The Dark Knight, one is making Ghost Rider and Elektra, one is making Fantastic Four. It's just so such an interesting era for movies.
Kind of hard, right? Because you compare the Black Knight or,
The
Batman,
Dark Knight.
the Dark
The
Knight,
Black
and
Knight.
from Fortnite. Then and literally he's like one of the best directors like even out
That's
there. Like even
true.
even when you compare a movie that he'll come out this year, like when he released Oppenheimer. Obviously that movie was probably so much better than anything that came out just because of like the level of directing that this guy does. So like you have a really really high standard when you put anything to like something that Christopher Nolan comes out or like
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino. So it's like
That's
these movies
true. It's
really
kind of
have to
not
fight.
fair comparing anybody or any film ever to Christopher Nolan or Tarantino.
But this one is cool. So do you have your synopsis?
I do have it pulled up here.
Let's
Aimless
go.
David Rice, Hayden Christensen, has the ability to instantly transport himself to any place he can imagine. He uses that gift to go to globetrot, living on money he steals by jumping into bank vaults. He's captured by the evil Roland Cox, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who knows how to keep David from his jumping. David escapes and reunites with his high school crush, Millie, played by Rachel Bilson, then forms an alliance with fellow jumper Griffin, played by Jamie Bell, and prepares for mortal combat with Cox. Were you able to get the concept before you started the movie, or were you able to hide it like I asked until he teleports in the ice or in the frozen lake?
So I didn't know anything going into it. I think I might have spoiled slightly when I was downloading the movie. Like I bought it on Apple TV or rented it, and I was like Supernatural. I was like, oh, Supernatural, damn it, I read something.
Oh.
And I immediately just like, bought it and then played it on my TV. But yeah, up until that moment, I was like, what is this? Like, I know something crazy is gonna happen because you said like it's not superheroes fighting crime stopping, but it's like on that realm. So I was like, what's happening? And then yeah, that first scene, he just like teleports. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And I don't know why, bro. Like that opening scene feels so familiar. Like when
Like
that
you've seen
boy,
it before?
yeah, and I was like, have I seen this movie? And I was tripping because I was like, have I seen this? When he like that scene seems so familiar. He throws it, he runs into the ice, falls, and I was like, I don't know, maybe not. So
The
yeah,
whole cinematography has that vibe of that one movie you keep talking to me about. You know where they have powers and they're filming each other?
Chronicles.
Chronicles, yeah, this
Yeah.
2000 vibe. They have this
It
like
does.
I think it was the Michael Bay influence where some people are a little sweaty, so they glisten a little bit. It has this
Oh.
gritty yellow tint to some of the scenes. I think that was Michael Bay's influence because he had a lot of films that look like that. Because the cinematography looks very similar to Transformers and the way women or a lot of those films or movies were filmed, and I kind of miss that cinematography from older movies. I felt like it at least had some color that popped, and maybe
Yeah.
some movies today don't have as much saturation or graininess. I'm a fan of
Yeah,
grain, to be
I
honest.
I do like that. How you said the grainy filter, like it feels like, and also what I was gonna bring up, like how they record it too. Like
Uh-huh.
it feels like you're just kind of there, like on a camera, someone's following the actors, not like these perfect still shots. Like
Yeah.
in the beginning, they had so many scenes like that, like when he's like jumping into the bank right for the first time, and it's like shaking and jumping and moving. You just like feel like you're right there with them, and it just feels like boots on the ground kind of film. And
Yeah.
that's exactly how Chronicles was. Like you're literally through the lens of someone recording the whole time, and that's just how it feels. Like
That's a really
I
good point to make because at this time when Chronicles and all these different films were coming out, doing the handheld action scenes were extremely popular because I think also the Bourne Chronicles were coming out, and there was this jump between action scenes where they loved this realistic, almost like a documentary. Like there's a guy with a camera filming these scenes, and he's in
yeah.
the fight, so it's shaking everywhere. And
Mhm.
you're 100% right. This film does have that influence on it, where it was of the time where it was very popular to film scenes like that and be as realistic or gritty as possible, even in the camera movement, like you were saying.
Yeah, I really liked that. It was so satisfying because they would especially go crazy on the shaking when, like, David's character would be in like a scenario. You're like the fighting scenes all super shaky. Like when he's
Close to the
distressed,
camera.
when he was like distressed looking for Millie, like again super shaky when he pulls up to the guy in the jail cell. It's just like it's also like a little part of telling the story with that shakiness. Like his whole world's being shaken up right now. So
Yeah.
the camera's also doing it. I was like, okay, I really like that.
Because
That
he can't
you
see clearly, so it's like you're with him on the journey. If he's teleporting and he's spinning, you're not going to be able to just see everything clearly. Maybe spin with him a little bit.
and yeah, and so like the teleporting scenes were so cool, bro. Like in the beginning, right? He's
I
just like
knew it. I knew you would like the teleporting scenes, bro.
because they were
Everyone's a sucker for
satisfying.
teleporting. Yeah.
They were so sad. Like at first when he's just like like a kid, he's teleporting so aggressively, leaving cracks on the ground, like
Yeah.
teleporting to trees. It's like sporadic, and then they show all of that as a kid, and then boom, they cut to older David, and he's like mastered his powers, and he's
Smooth.
just like, yeah, he's like smooth, like shoom, boom, 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 like so smooth in how he's transformed. I was like, okay, that's nice. I thought he was just gonna freaking like Kazam into every single
Oh, and
teleportation
it had to
scene.
be like a scene or like
Yeah,
a situation, building shaking type every time.
yeah. So it was so satisfying, like in the beginning, right when they show that, and I was like, okay, well, like I was trying to piece together. I was like, what's gonna happen in this movie? I'm like, okay, this guy teleports, he steals money, and Samuel Jackson's gonna try to catch him. And I was like, how can they catch him? Like, this dude's basically invincible. And this is something where I was like, is this like for the
That's
plot?
that's what I
Because
wanted to ask you too. I had a feeling you were gonna say something along the lines of, "How the hell are they? How the hell does he not teleport before he just gets electrocuted every
bro,
time?"
right? Right, like, dude, this dude, David, every fight scene gets captured or hit. Like, there's not a single
Yeah,
fight scene
yeah.
where he gets away. Like, it's
Every
he
single
gets
time it's like a second too late, and they got him. They electrocuted him
yeah, like
somehow.
that first scene where Samuel Jackson, he literally like I don't know if he has his back turned to him, but the David character teleports right into him. Samuel Jackson, very split second, like
Yeah, hits
fastest
him, and so he
reaction
still
time.
teleports, but he's like glitching now.
Yeah, he perfectly times his turnaround shock, and I was like, bro, like, are they nerfing this character? Just like it gave me like Flash vibes because in the Flash, like in my opinion, Flash is the most OP character in the world
Uh huh.
because he can freaking time travel and run faster than anything in the world. Yet this dude's getting slipped up by freaking Mr. Frost and freezing. I'm like, bro, like that should not be happening, bro. Like, so when that happened, I was like, bro, they're gonna come up with some BS to catch this guy. And
Yeah, that's kind of a problem with these powers or speed powers. It's like if you give them that power in the first place, how are they ever going to get caught? And you
right,
might make it, you either make the villain too OP where you don't really, it's not fun because then you don't get to see the user with the abilities, go all out or be able to use it in a meaningful way, or you have him just got electrocuted very easily because, like you said, Samuel L. Jackson does not miss. He probably didn't miss a single time he fired that little
exactly,
stun
bro.
gun. Immediately hits their hands or their bodies. They have hacks, bro. They had aimbot, like obviously.
And something I was gonna ask you, bro. So you see, right in the beginning when they're introducing David, something I really liked was he walks into his little like safe, and he has all these money. And something I liked is he whips out like a different currency. It's like French money or English money, and I was like, this dude just has money in all currencies to whenever he needs
Oh,
to go somewhere. I was like, that's
yeah.
a nice touch. But then I was thinking, I was like, bro, this dude's just a thief, bro. Like we're
Like he's
on
not a good person.
we're on the thief side, right? Like rightfully to be caught, bro. Like you're stealing and doing all this.
You're on Samuel L. Jackson's side. You're like, get his ass.
Sorta, bro, because I was gonna ask you, like, if you had these powers, bro, like, what are you doing? Are you living the chill life? Like, yeah, I'll steal like a couple mil here and there, and I'll do it. Or are you gonna go full fledged superhero? Like, what route are you going?
This might be controversial, but probably a little bit of both because you know me, bro. You know how my viewpoints are. If you're stealing from the big man, in my opinion, like a
Oh
Robin
my
Hood,
god,
steal from the rich, no problem with me. Keep going. Keep doing it.
bro, he is the rich. Man's literally becomes the rich, bro.
That's something
Still,
I was thinking about. You can't get an apartment without good credit and good income line. If you're just stealing all this cash,
yeah,
that means he would have to be laundering it or doing all
something.
that. Yeah, there's no way you have an apartment, a car, or anything without putting it into a bank or even getting the suspicion of the IRS where they go, "How did you purchase this? Where'd you get this cash from?" I know he could
Yeah.
jump everywhere, but then does that mean how do you settle down? Because he was clearly settled down. You can't settle down with all that cash.
show me a W-2 or something, bro. You cannot get into this high-rise New York
Yep.
penthouse without some
Without
credit
a
or
W two.
something, bro.
Exactly. Where's your tax history? You haven't filed taxes since you were a teenager. Where did this cash come from?
And this dude's like in that same scene they show like there's like a flood going on or something, and he's just they
Oh,
like
and it never comes up again, right?
but then also the thing they say is like, oh, if only somebody could just show up out of nowhere or something. Like they allude to like, if someone could just show up and save these people. He just
Oh
like
yeah, it's
laughs it off.
impossible to get them, and he just rolls his eyes. And I thought, oh, they're alluding because he's going to show that he's still kind of a good guy, and then he goes to
Dude,
London,
yes.
and then he just forgets about it. I'm kind of like, what?
Bro, I thought he was gonna go right away to save the people. Like, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
he
dun,
grabs
dun,
an
dun, dun.
umbrella, and he's like, I'm assuming because it was flooding over there or raining,
Yeah.
he was grabbing the umbrella for that. But I don't know why they just kind of do that to show, yeah, he sees that, and he doesn't give a fuck. He's gonna go to London, go to a bar, get drunk.
They want us to like hate him or something, be on Samuel Jackson's side, because I was at that point I was like, okay, why are we rooting for the crook, bro? Like they immediately show him just robbing like a surf
Yeah.
store. He's robbing everyone. I'm like, bro, like this dude has no remorse. And
I know.
so it's also like very conflicting. Like I don't know, the plot of the movie was really like weird to me. I feel like the way certain things were happening were just very confusing to me.
Yeah, it didn't seem very linear, or it had a very specific direction to where it was going. I completely agree with you on that, because before I watched the film, I was thinking, why was this movie had such low critic reviews? Because I don't remember it being that bad. But after getting about halfway through, I did completely feel that the writing was very weak, very very weak.
Yeah, yes, bro. Like one of the main parts where I was like, this is not realistic, and something we kind of talked about on last week's episode. The whole love story between Johnny and Roxanne.
Oh yeah,
In this movie, like it was like if they had that type of love story or something. Like, why is this girl like in love with this
yeah.
dude that? Like they didn't even have a thing in high school. They only showed us a little glimpse of their relationship when they were younger.
Right? He just some guy who gave her a snow globe. That's it.
Yes, they weren't even like best buds. He was like
Yeah.
nervous to talk to her. Like
Exactly.
and then all of a sudden he shows up and this girl's a gold digger. That's what she is.
Bro,
Because
exactly.
because he goes, yeah, we're going to Rome. I'm in banking. I got all this money. Like, you want to come with me? Like, and boom, she's like, yes, sugar daddy, yes, please. And then she drops she leaves work, bro. Like,
Yes.
just to dip. And I was like, okay, this love story didn't make any sense because she was never interested in him before. They never even had a fling. Like, I get he gave her a snow globe, but like, bro, y'all had no chemistry before this, and I'm supposed to believe that they love each other, and then when they get to
you just come back 10 years later. You want to go? Hey, you want to go?
Yeah, of course. You got money? You said you got
You
money?
got money? You got money?
Oh,
Okay, cool.
Put me on that plane.
I'll
bro.
drop everything right now.
I quit.
Yeah.
I'm going with this guy to Rome. I haven't seen him in years. I'm going.
I don't
to
even
Rome.
know if we're really going to Rome, but I'm gonna find out.
He might be a drug dealer, but shit,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that Gucci bag though.
So yeah, that's a great point you make, because with that poor writing, it makes your characters look like horrible people. And you get that that's not their intention, because I did want to like these people, but through your kind of lazy writing, you make everyone look kind of shitty on accident, I think.
And Millie's character was kind of dumb the whole time, bro. She just went along with everything.
Just a damsel in distress, very two-dimensional.
Bro, and then another scene that was just completely caught me off guard was like when he gets captured in Rome and then his mom just shows up. And I'm like, what the fuck? What?
Oh,
His mom just shows up after years, like the one time, and so conveniently comes to save him. Like, how did she know that was his son? Like, did he have a name? Is he using his like original name on
His
these
real
fake
name. Does she get a
passports?
notification or something
Yeah,
every time he gets arrested in any country?
yeah. Does she have pictures of her son? Like, is she keeping up with her son to know that this is actually her son? Like, she just
Yeah.
shows up, saves the day. He's like, run, and I'm like, what the hell was this? Like, I was
Yeah.
completely like, they explained nothing here. And he's like, mom, mom, mom. And then, boom, completely like doesn't talk about his mom ever again until like the very end, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But he just completely unacknowledges that he just saw his mom after like years of not seeing her, and then continues on with Millie, like, come on, we gotta go. You gotta
Yeah.
go to the
See,
airport.
that's just weak writing. It just seemed it, yeah, the concept itself was so cool, and
Yeah.
the action is so awesome, but I get why people wouldn't like this movie, especially with what you said about the romance too, because if you have a love at first sight type of thing that you're trying to do, or
Yeah, exactly.
like they were meant to be together, like a Superman and Lois, like they're just meant to be together. If you do that in your movie, that is probably one of the hardest things to do because it's hit or miss. If you don't do it right, there's no 75% of it was good. It's either you hit it or you don't. So if you don't, the whole thing just kind of falls through and doesn't have any legs to stand on throughout the movie.
Bro, was that Griffin guy not like the coolest guy though?
He was. I saw a
Like,
comment saying he looked like an older Tom Holland almost.
he did look like Tom Holland, bro. He
Were
did.
you gonna say that?
Yeah, when he was like walking, like when he's walking Tokyo, like there's a
Yeah.
scene where they just pan on his face. I was like, bro, this guy looks like Tom Holland.
Like the long lost older brother or something.
D- and what type of accent did he have? Was that Irish or Australian?
I am
Do you know?
not. We're American. I don't think we should be commenting on what accent because
No, but
I don't
his
know,
accent was
British maybe.
so.
Thick.
I think Australian or Irish is what I'm guessing, but his
The
accent was
paladins.
just
The
so
paladins. I
like
kill paladins. Paladins kill
fresh.
me.
I might like gotta go. Like it's I don't know. I really like because he reminded me of like characters that would be in Harry Potter,
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
he gave me like Ron vibes a little bit. I know
Oh,
you don't know who Ron is, but
I definitely know who Ron is.
but like his character was just so funny. Like and I like something I noticed, bro. Look, I put my movie brain critic is working here
Okay.
because
Okay.
something I picked up, like the David character. He's like the most serious and like, I gotta, what's going on? Like I gotta save this and all this sad
Yeah.
stuff. And this guy's just like
Inconsistent writing too.
this guy's just like, hey man, have a jolly good time. I'm about to get some takeout. You want some?
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
just like so funny, laid back, chill. So like seeing them in scenes together is so funny because David's like, come on, bro, like we have to go kill this Samuel Jackson character. Like we have to do it for the. Like he's messing us up, and this guy's like, "Hey man, like you just gotta chill, bro. Like,
Yeah. Like
let's
stop
go."
trying to blow everything up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let me
Exactly.
do
And
my
then like
thing.
the David character trying to have like a heart to heart with him. He's
Yeah.
like, "What happened to your parents?" He's like, "They died when they were young." And then he's like, "Yeah, my mom ran away too." He's like, "Did I ask about your family?" No, man, not the time. And then I was just
Yeah.
like, "That was so funny." Like his character was so cool, like so funny and so badass. Like he was the first one that kind of like David's character, Hayden Christian's character, did not use his powers the right way. Like this guy was
Yeah, he was kind of getting,
ding,
for all
ding.
the experience he has, he was getting washed by every member. First shot they would shoot at him, electrocuted, and he spends the whole
Normally.
fight trying to undo the electrocution
Yeah. Yeah,
every
he's
time.
just struggling the whole time. And
Yeah,
this dude Griffin's having a 1v5 everybody because this
yeah,
scrub. And the way I was just say Griffin was just him, bro. But he is trained to kill him, so I get it.
yeah. He seemed very consistent, probably better written than the main character because I noticed that main character was so inconsistent with what they tried to portray him as, and then also what he was acting like during the course of the film. Because in the beginning, he gives this narration where he goes, I just had breakfast in Greece. I just had dinner or lunch on the Eiffel Tower. Oh, and I got this girl's digits from Prague. And like he says something like that, I'm like, he sounds like a frat kid. Like, yeah, and I just got these girls' digits. And then throughout the whole film, I know he does go pick up this other girl, but he doesn't give off those vibes at all. And I felt like they were trying to make that beginning seem like a fast paced Wolf of Wall Street type of character. Like, yeah, I live the fast life. I do this and that. But then the way he was acting in his everyday interactions didn't give off those vibes at all. Almost like he was reading a script in the beginning, but then once he was back in his world, he was a different person. And so, like you said, Griffin felt like he is the way he is before the cameras started rolling, but I don't feel like Hayden Christensen's character had as consistent writing throughout the film.
Kind of had a problem with Hayden Christensen's acting in this one.
Really?
Like he has like some I hate the sand. Like he had some really weird like facial expressions, like awkwardly staring, or like the way his face would look. I don't know why I couldn't see him as this David character. And yeah, maybe I associate him heavy with being Anakin, but
Yeah.
the way he acts was just so, I don't know, cringe. Like it just felt unnatural to me.
I feel like he has the ability to play a certain character extremely well, but they've just never casted him or written a character that he would excel at. Like I know he has the ability, he has that voice, the look, but I don't know. I just think he just never got that chance. You know, some people thrive because they happen to be cast in that perfect role that they don't even really have to act in because they've been that character their whole life. And I know Hayden Christensen has it in him, but he just never got that opportunity that other actors have gotten.
Something I saw when doing some research, Eminem was supposed to be the David guy for this movie.
Really? I
Yeah,
could see
so-
that. I could see that.
So I wonder how that would have played out if they casted Eminem in this movie.
That would have been interesting. I always hear about that. I'm just like, that's bullshit. There's no way. Because did you hear that at some point? I think it was rumored that Michael Jackson wanted to be Spider-Man in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man series.
No way, bro.
And bro, I swear, and when I hear that, I'm like, there's no fucking way they were casting him. He's not doing that shit. Like that's not happening. Nobody's making a movie with him. But yeah. So I get that same vibe when I hear this. I'm like, I get Eminem can act, and he has very good comedic timing, but I don't know. I don't know if he was gonna go any further than 8 Mile.
You know, I don't know if we talk. I'm about to go into a massive gripe session right now because
Okay, go ahead.
I have a lot of things that left the worst taste in my mouth, bro. And one of
I'm
them,
guessing the mom, because you called me right after.
yes, but first,
Okay, you
since
wanna say
we were just talking about Griffin, bro, they did my boy Griffin the dirtiest
They
way
did.
possible. Like that whole fight scene with two teleporters fighting was cool, right? Because they're in this city, and then they're in Antarctica, and then they're in the water. Like they played around with the environment,
Yeah.
which was cool. But I was like, did they really need to be fighting like this right now? I was like, is it that serious? And I was like, okay, whatever. And then they just do my boy dirty, bro. They have a scene where they throw him into like some electrical pole or tower.
Yeah.
And then he's just like hanging out there. And then they never talk about him again. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like your
So
best
bad.
character, you just do him so dirty. Like what was that? And
Yeah.
another problem that I had, I guess this would be pacing, is that whole final act. For me, I was like, is this really the final act? Like it felt like the beginning of the movie, right? They're building up this character. He gets his girl and all this, and then he finds out he's like in drama, whatever. And because of that, it immediately builds up into this final scene that happens with Samuel Jackson, and he, ends up teleporting the whole building,
Yeah.
which I have another gripe with that. And I was just like, that happened so fast. Like, if they would have maybe slowed down talk about like, hey, we're gonna plan this or do something, like in between him like finding the secret guy's lair and then agreeing to do the Marvel team up. You know how they shout out the Marvel team
Yeah.
up? Like
Yeah.
if they would have like just chilled it felt like it was happening so quick. And then when the final scene happened, I was like, is this it? Like
It did happen super fast. I remember clicking to see how much time was left when they were. I think they got into his base because he accidentally left like a portal open for them to get there, and
Yeah.
there was like 15 minutes left. And I'm thinking, 15 minutes? You're gonna you're gonna wrap everything up in 15, 20 minutes? There's no way. And just like you said, right after he drops him off in the cave, then they're at the mom's house, and I had the same feeling, man, that was rushed. Such a rushed ending.
He teleports the whole building and conveniently only teleports Samuel Jackson, doesn't teleport like his 50 other goons with him, and put that to the side. And then he teleports Samuel Jackson into his cave, and then he's just like, I'm one of the good guys. Like I could have gave you the sharks. Like if he's like building a redemption story, like I'm one of the good guys. Like you're gonna need
different.
me. Yeah, and I was like, okay, is that hinting at something? Like, is something going to happen later in the movie? And no, because there is no later in the movie, because immediately after that, he shows up at his mom's house, freaking Kristen Stewart, 5-second cameo for some reason. I'm like, what is Kristen Stewart doing here? And the mom is like, they kind of explain some of her backstory, like, I saw you jump when I was younger. Like, I would have had to kill you, but I had to run away to protect you. And then I'm giving you a head start. And I'm like, oh, is she going to hunt him? Is that how the movie's going to end? No, the movie's going to end right there. And it's over. And it ends.
Well, it was that.
No, like, I get that his mom's saying, like, I am going to come hunt you.
Yeah, she's still going to go hunt him.
But I'm like, bro, how are you going to end the movie like this? Like, there's no resolution with the mom. Like, she gives him like a hug, goodbye. All right, son, nice seeing you. But I was just like, no way it ended. And that's why I called you, because I was in shock, bro. My jaw dropped when it ended.
I think they were trying to do a series, like a second movie. And because it got such low reviews, they never got to. Maybe the second movie would be, son versus mom. But
that's true, because this movie was based on a book series, and this book series.
You did some research.
Yeah, come prepared, bro. I gotta let the fans know.
This is my movie. This movie's based on a book. I'm just kidding. I don't have it in front of me, so you can go. You can go ahead.
It has 3 books, so they were trying to do a trilogy. This was trying to be the next trilogy series.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I understand why they left on a weird cliffhanger, but the way it just built up to that moment, I was like, what the? I immediately, everybody listening, once the movie ends, because I swear it ended so horribly, I call Anthony right away, just like in shock. Like I didn't even know what to say, because I didn't want to just spoil my thoughts, because I wanted to talk about it here. But I was like, bro, like, what the heck is this ending, bro? This is crazy. Like I'm still in shock, because they ended it really abruptly. And I get, if they had a trilogy, it makes sense. I understand, but still, it just left so many like loose ends. Like Samuel Jackson's character, he's probably dead over there. He has no cell phone.
He's starving to death, or
he's
trying to get off, and he's gonna fall to his death or something.
He's gonna have a heat stroke. Like he's dead, 100%. Griffin, they just left him to whatever. Millie's character, she's into that gold digger money, so of course she's staying with him, and they teleport away together. And I was like, what is going on? So the ending just left me really weird, and I feel like it kind of ruined something for me, because it just didn't feel like it came to a good close. It felt like just something happened, but there was no like closure for like what our character was going through. It was like, all for what? Like nothing really happened.
You didn't feel like there was a journey where, wow, everybody, or he became a different person or learned valuable life lesson. It's kind of just, okay, you got rid of the bad guy and that's it. Now your mom's the bad guy.
Yeah, and why would you leave the guy that's trying to kill you alive, bro? Like, that's a bad move.
Small chance of him getting back. Did you see the Rotten Tomato scores for this movie?
Yes, like what, 12?
Is 15? Okay, as many gripes as you have, is 15 an accurate score for this? Like, do you think this movie deserves an F? That's a flat out F.
It's very hard because I tell you my scores, like I really did enjoy like the jumping scenes. I enjoyed how they had like, a reasonable bad guy like that had the tech to kind of stop him. Even though they had some weird plot, I feel like some of the stuff didn't make sense, like the love interests and how they got from point A to point B, the mother plot line, like they were pretty bad, but like I had a good time watching it, right? Because I
Yeah.
liked all the jumping scenes, fighting scenes. I liked, how they kind of explore this guy having these powers and this organization trying to stop them. Like the concept was cool. I just
Yeah.
think that the delivery was bad, and I would say I guess yeah, I think it would deserve that low of a score because
Yeah. I don't think it really landed in any of the things it was trying to do. I didn't feel connected to the relationship. Didn't really feel sorry for him and his dad. Nothing
yeah, the
really landed.
the dad plot point, he hated his dad the whole time,
And then he
and then
starts
all of us,
crying.
yeah, I'm like, bro, you hated this dude. Like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. So, yeah, I think the concept was cool, and I liked it. The action was really cool. Like, he freaking teleported a bus to hit Samuel Jackson. Like, that's badass. Like, that was cool.
Yeah.
But, but I don't know. Yeah, the writing was so just mid weak sauce writing. Like, slightly
I
worse than
completely
Ghost Rider.
I completely agree, honestly, because I don't think these teleporting scenes were super badass, but I don't think they
Yeah.
even had the same badassery like you just said that Ghost Rider had, where I'm thinking, or where I immediately forget of everything bad I just saw. I don't think they
Yeah.
even did enough of the teleporting fight scenes for me to forget how mid or just average everything else was.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I guess with that being said, bro, how many jumps are you giving this movie? Like how many times are
How
you
many
jumping for it?
jumps? How many jumps am I jumping for this movie? Six. 6 out of 10.
Six
Yeah, six
jumps?
jumps.
Oh,
Six
really?
jumps.
What boosted it above from like a 4 or 5? Because
So
you know,
if you go for me, if you go below a 5, I have a problem with this movie. Like something about it upset me. So since nothing, I don't think a lot of it was good at all. But since nothing upset me, it can't go below 5. And since I'm right at a 5, you add in some badass teleporting that I like, I'll bring it up to a 6.
that's pretty respectable.
Yeah.
That's no 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, though.
Yeah. What about you? How many jumps are you giving for this movie?
How many jumps am I giving the Jumper 2008 movie? Bro, I'm
Yeah.
giving this movie 4.5 jumps out of 10.
Really? I did not
I'm
expect that low.
I'm jumping 4 times and I'm doing half of a little jump because it was cool. I liked, the jumping scenes, the fight scene, Griffin carries, and it was good watching, but it's just like I kind of felt nothing at the end. I felt like, okay, I just saw like some cool scenes, but I didn't feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I really loved, the David character. I really, resonated with this character. I just felt like, okay,
No emotional substance.
yeah, and then the ending just freaking dropped me off a cliff, and then I freaking rolled 1,000 times to my death because it was just so random. Like maybe I'm over exaggerating how the ending ended because yeah, they had another movie maybe, but it was just like what the heck? That's it? Like that was the final fight scene. I get it was kind of
Yeah.
cool, but the final fight scene was still kind of weak. Like he just
Yeah, very
oh
sudden.
he teleports a building and then teleports Samuel Jackson away and then he's okay and then they're safe from this organization that was like hunting them down the whole time. Like I have no idea, but the concept was cool. I think if they would have executed it maybe slightly better, it would have maybe hit if the writing was better, the love interest was better, if they explained the mom
Dang,
stuff a little
that's a
better.
professional analysis right there. Look at this guy.
Bro,
That's
like
official.
you know me, bro. I be watching some
I
movies.
know.
I
I'm gonna
I
ask
give a
you. I'm gonna
review
ask
here and
you.
there. So yeah, I'd give this movie 4.5 jumps out of 10. I mean, if you want to see a cool, somewhat cool movie with, you know, below good dialogue, then this is a movie to watch. But I still had a good time though. Like I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
like, ugh, this movie sucks. Like Madam Web I was having a bad time. Like
Yep.
this one was okay watch. And Hayden Christian have a little soft spot. My boy Annie. So before we wrap up, I have some shout outs to give because if you remember,
Oh, yes.
if you remember in the Millennium Actress pod episode, I gave a secret keyword to anyone who made it to the end. And I said, if you commented keys on a recent Instagram post, you will receive a shout out. And we did get a comment with the keys. So I just got to shout out the Instagram user Abraham Ruth for commenting keys on our recent post. What a real one. We appreciate the love and support.
Yeah, you get a lifetime membership to our Patreon since you were the first one to react. No payment for you.
You'll get the behind the scenes footage of Anthony saying some heinous things.
You get all the stuff that would have canceled us.
Yep. Behind the paywall that everyone else has to pay for, but not you, because you commented keys under our recent Instagram post. So shout out Abraham Ruth.
Yeah, I'll tell it to you in person. I'll say the heinous stuff to your face.
Yeah. You can come to the live recording, bro. You'll see everything we cut out.
Yeah, you can sit in. Did you have a movie to recommend?
I do not. What do you
really?
have something? Yep.
Man, it's so hard because you know me. I'm literally thinking I can go like really old movie but really good, or I can go not too old 90s but masterpiece, or I could do modern.
We've done some supernatural stuff these past two movies.
That's true.
I would feel if we bring it down to something like normal, if that makes sense. Like just
a good drama movie.
Yeah, something a good story, something that's just not supernatural stuff. So whatever it might be, if it's just not superhero, power stuff, I think anything would be fine.
Okay, that does whittle it down for me. So I'm kind of torn. Have you ever heard of the movie called The Prestige?
No, I don't think I've ever heard of that movie.
Have you heard of a director called, his name is Christopher Nolan? Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of Christopher. Didn't he do Interstellar?
Yeah, he did Interstellar, Inception, and there are a couple movies that I don't think you're even aware about. Before he did Inception and Interstellar, he was doing these mind-boggling plot lines that were very, very interesting and innovative. One of his, I think it was his first feature film. It was called Memento. And it's crazy the way that movie is edited because the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning, and the movie plays backwards, but at the same time it plays forward, and so it's super, super trippy. And we'll visit that one day, but this is a trippy movie from Christopher Nolan. I think you will enjoy a lot.
Wait,
it stars,
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Is that kind of like Tenet? Have you seen Tenet?
I started Tenet, but I haven't finished it. And so, yeah, same vibes also from Christopher Nolan. This movie is going to be some mind fuckery that is very interesting. It's starring Christian Bale. Before he did The Dark Knight with him, it stars Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, Scarlett Johansson, David Bowie. Star-studded cast. I think you're gonna really like this movie.
I like me a stacked cast, bro.
Yeah. This is gonna be one you will remember for a while because everyone I've shown this movie to, they just their jaw drops by the end of it. It's crazy.
Okay, well, what movie are we watching next week? What's the name?
It's called The Prestige. I think I dropped it.
Okay.
Yeah, The Prestige.
Okay. The Prestige. Okay, cool. The stat cast. I love Hugh Jackman, bro. He's the GOAT, bro.
He brings it in this movie. It's so fucking good. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this one.
Nice. Okay, so next week, guys, we will be watching The Prestige. And if you made it this far into the episode, comment and jump under our most recent Instagram post to receive a shout out. And in 2 episodes from now, So
So quick shout out also to Legitimate Sounds for
shout
mastering some
out.
of the audio. And
Yep, yep.
we'll see you guys for the next episode. Peace.
Peace.